So, hope you guys are doing great. I've got some little treats today for us. So my mom bought me this really pretty card bag. So now I have a new bag and I have a brand new deck that she got for me, which is this really awesome Steampunk tarot. For some reason it wants me to open the thing for you because I love this. This is the Page of Pentacles, and she is awesome looking. I don't know why it wanted me to show you guys that, but that's the book. That's the cover. This is the Queen of Cups. And these are the lovely cards. I love it. So we are looking at energies that are like post-eclipse season. So this could apply to about 6 months out, possibly. Could be something... Okay, Spirit wants me to just put this card over here for you guys. It keeps falling off the deck over here. I'm going to leave that kind of separate for now, though, because I'm going to start with our goddess energies. There's been a lot of feminine energy coming through. It wants me to point out that there are all the elements present. This selenite crystal, like, man, I brought this tower in at the last minute before I started these readings today. I literally just happened to look at it and Spirit was like, bring it in. So I did. And then when I was plugging it in, it's right over here next to my computer, and the screensaver came on for my computer and it revealed my desktop. And on my desktop was an image of the ocean with all these ice. It just said icebreaker. Interesting. It just said icebreaker. What am I trying to say? Icebergs, but not just, they weren't like the icebergs. It was like Antarctica. So it was like the actual sheets of ice. And like the ocean kind of broken in between it and everything. So that always makes me just think of like the pure north, like North Pole. And it's wanting me to bring up, I did my thesis on dreams, and in the highest states of pure dream consciousness, supposedly you go into places that are very, very pure. And when we think of pure places on earth that are like untouched and clean and pure, they're often described as snowy top mountain peaks, or like Antarctica, like the North Pole, the South Pole, these places where it's like it's so hard for man to survive, but it's just pure water and ice and beauty, and very much like this selenite tower, you know. And then I have these shells for the water. We've got, this is Aragonite. It comes from coral reefs and the ocean and stuff like that. So that wanted to come in here. We have Sedona Red Jasper. It wants me to show you all my crystals. We have Sunstone. And then we have earth energy with this beautiful 5-pointed leaf. So there's very much that like Venus star energy. Something just touched my right foot. And then of course we have our candle here for fire. So yeah, I'm very much feeling like this is earth, water. I'm not sorry, air, even though it is a crystal. Air, water, earth, fire, and then just, you know, you name it. Here we go. So look, okay, right off the bat, we got goddesses coming out for you. So we have, nice. Oh no, not almost, but not quite. You got some Greek goddesses coming out here. So we got Psyche. The story of Psyche tells of a mortal woman taken to a mysterious castle to be married to a fierce dragon. Her husband comes to her in the middle of the night and she falls in love with him. Told that she must never look upon his face, she disobeys this injunction and finds that her husband is really Eros, the god of love. When he wakes, he flies away, leaving her forever. Psyche roamed far and wide trying to find Eros. She goes to his mother Aphrodite, who gives her 4 tasks to complete, each seemingly impossible. The final task requires her to descend into Hades and retrieve a box of beauty. Through the process of meeting the challenges of her tasks and integrating her experiences, Psyche grows from an innocent young girl into a mature goddess. Psyche is a rich reminder of our imperative to grow. That's been a word today, imperative. Like, it's so imperative that we do these messages and things that Spirit's trying to come tell me. I don't know. It's like, that's the word today, imperative. Psyche is a rich reminder of our imperative to grow. She reminds us that the process of life takes us into dark places as well as light, just as the butterfly emerges from the dark chrysalis into the light. So it's just saying imperative to grow. So I would say, Pisces, that there is a journey to the underworld, spiritual journey type deal happening post-eclipse for you. And it will cause you to grow. It is imperative that you grow through this experience. So it's imperative that you go through the experience. And this is very much about descending and finding the box of beauty in the underworld. Let me just say that my heart chakra right now is like, man, like I can feel my pulse in my heart just a beating right now. It is like wanting to thump right out of my chest. And it's also like, it's almost like my whole chest is vibrating. It's almost like I can feel like all the space in my, around my heart, in my heart. It's like I can, it's almost like I can feel the vibration, like the humming of my heart, sort of. It's so intense right now. And my right pinky too is going off. So there is, feels like actually a little bit of that, feels like a little bit of masculine energy coming in there. The masculine energy is presenting this story of about the feminine to the feminine energy, for the feminine energy to understand, because the masculine energy would therefore be this dragon or this husband, the goddess the god Eros, son of Aphrodite, so basically Cupid. So it's almost like this one, and now my left ear's ringing. So I mean, it feels like the masculine energy was communicating to say, this is the story that needs to be understood by the feminine, energies. There's distance and space and separation in the sense of the masculine energy is not able to be in the same place as the feminine energy, because the feminine energy has to go through, it has to go find that box of beauty within the underworld, right? That's the whole deal. And also it's about, it's like his mother, Aphrodite, makes her go through this too, to like kind of reprove herself that she's like worthy of her son for a husband type deal, in the sense that she didn't obey the first time, right? That's the thing, is she didn't obey the first time. They told her not to open her eyes and look, and she did because she was so excited. So it's like, there now it's like, okay, like, can you listen? Can you do what you're supposed to do? Can you, how far are you willing to go type deal? And then we have Demeter. Ancient Greek great mother goddess, a goddess of life and death. The Greeks emphasized her role as goddess of the cultivated earth, the giver of fruitfulness and abundance, and provider of the gift of agriculture. Again, there's a little bit of this theme of separation. Demeter gets separated from her daughter Persephone, who also goes to the underworld, and that makes Demeter very sad. She and her daughter Persephone, called by the Greeks the goddesses, together represent the continuous cycle of life and death, the two phases of the vegetative power of the earth. Demeter is remembered primarily for her great love for her daughter. When Persephone was abducted by Hades, Demeter's grief caused the whole world to go barren. Here we see Demeter ready to give birth to produce life. Demeter offers a blessing of fruitfulness and possibility, of coming joy, of abundant life, and of hope. So there is this whole thing about like someone being in the underworld, having to go through something, some kind of journey into, it just said, into the dark night of the soul, into the darkness, into the underworld. And this Demeter energy here is representing that energy, that other energy that's on the other side of the figure that's going through the process of the underworld. Even though these are both goddesses and both feminine energies, I really felt that tick of that masculine energy there. So it's very much like seeing the two different energies of being above the underworld, being in the underworld, being on opposite sides of the lines, you know, that separate those two realms, and both having to respect where the other person is at, because if you're in the same space, then these journeys will never be completed, these lessons will never be learned, these things, like, there's a lot right there. There's also the fact of, like, if you stay in the sadness and grief, there's no fruitfulness. This is Demeter in her fruitful stage, so that's like post lesson. The earth misses so much and lacks so much when she is not focused on doing her goddess duties, which is making the earth fruitful, because she's so sad about the separation and missing this other energy from her life, her daughter. So there's very much that whole thing of, like, I just said, like, missing your daughter. Yeah, that's what I just mean. There's something here about, like, a separation of energy. I want to see what this card is because it came out the gate first. Whew, look at that. Yeah. This is always about distance and separation, in the sense that this Knight of Wands is the one who is traveling a lot. It just said it's a great night. Sorry, Pisces. So anyway, as I was saying, it just said, it was saying it's a great night, as in, like, time, day. It's the nighttime now when I'm reading this. So, like, it's a great night. And it also meant it in this person being a great night, or this energy being a great night. This night often has to do with some distance, just traveling, things not totally being able to be together, because this night travels a lot and is very fast in that regard. So there's usually some distance associated with this particular card. So that's what I mean. There is, but that's where it's wanting to say that this is a great night. So Pisces, there's something that is, like, feeling very distant from you, and I would say that in a spiritual context. This is that fire energy, and it's like you're riding after it, but that's what I mean. It's like you're having to travel the distance between whatever this, like, separation thing is, but at the same time, it's not about, like, it's like, that's what I mean. It's not about following this person into the underworld. It's about, it's knowing that there's a quest, and that quest may take you into places that you are unsure of, that maybe don't make sense. And that quest in itself, even though it feels like it might take you away from whatever it is that this other person or other energy is going through in the underworld, it's like that's the thing. It's like two energies on different quests, and yet at the same time it's the same quest, and therefore you can't veer from the quest. Is what it just said. Like, you can't veer from the quest. Like, there is a unified quest that these two energies are going after. And so if this is just you as a person, then I would say, right, part of you feels separated from another part of you in respect that there is no unity. And the reason why there's no unity within yourself is because part of your energy is having to go through some kind of underworld journey to discover something about itself so that it can bring it back to the middle ground. And that's the same thing that the other energy must do on the other plane, on the other path, is there's something that they have to go do so that they can receive that and bring it back as well. And when it comes back, then it's centered. And this card, interestingly enough, closes that gap there. So that's what I mean. It's like, and all this energy is looking to the left. So again, I keep saying like the feminine energy feels like it's on a journey. And it feels like the masculine energy is just here to support it and tell it what the journey is. It just said what the journey is about. What the journey is about. Because as much as she's got it's like this Psyche energy is very much like this Knight too. But she's got an egg and he's got a wand. There's a feminine journey and a masculine energy journey, and then there's like the mother energy over here, just kind of like watching both energies. So this very much feels like the universe in general. It's like there's two parts of you, or two energies, or two people in general that are on quests. They're on two different quests, they're on two different cards, but they're heading in the same direction, and the universe sees it and knows it and is watching out for the whole thing. So I like it. This is a brand new deck here, like I was saying, so let's see what's coming out. Nice. Okay, now I did have these come out for Aquarius, but I shuffled for you guys, so these are coming out for you too. There seems to be excuse me, and just said bless me too. That's what I mean. Like now there is a 9 and a 9 here. And then I think there's like a Knight, right? Knight, 9, 9. There's almost like a 999. There is definitely, okay. Now there is a masculine energy on this side looking directly at her. I was talking about that in the Aquarius reading. So it's like the masculine energy is hanging out in this boiler room and standing still. In fact, it wants me to tell you to go check out the Aquarius video. Because it was a really lengthy explanation. And I'm not supposed to go through it all again. But essentially, this 9 of Wands, this person is hanging out. This is kind of like a boiler room. They have to run the boiler room. Therefore, they have to stay there, because if they leave the boiler room, then it's unattended and things can go wrong in that way, right? So it's like they have to stay in this boiler room. But he's got this eyeglass. And he's like spying on something, which when this card is all by itself, you're like, what the hell are you looking at? What are you spying for? What are you daydreaming about, right? Like, what are you focused on? That type of thing. And here it is over here. It's this 9 of Pentacles. It's this feminine energy, like I said. And it's like, this is that 9. So it's almost like, that's what I mean. It's like both energies being in the same place, just being slightly different. This is Pentacles. This is like in a garden with a beautiful gate. Learning how to tame this falcon and like be out here with like these animals and be out here with nature, being super feminine in that regard. And this is very masculine in the other regard, because this is machinery and steam and wands and fire. And so again, like she's got the egg, which is very much like a pentacle in a sense, and here's all the pentacles. And ooh, nice spirit. It went from an egg to a falcon, right? Very much this motherhood, like watching this egg grow into something that you really care for, that you raised on your own. There's a really nice evolution energy. That's what I mean. It's like that's part of the journey, is there's this evolution energy. What else? Okay, so like there's that. Again, reconfirmation that these energies are technically in the same place. And aware, it said, and aware that they're in the same place. Man, this came out for Aquarius too. You might have a lot of Aquarius in your chart, Pisces, or just you know, it's the next sign over, so it could be definitely affecting you. But both parties are possibly sitting in this space. And I think seeing this right here it's very much in that regard of, yeah, being blocked, but not really being blocked, sitting still, but not really having to sit still, like, but being blindfolded and tied up at least from the top up, but the bottom half is not untied, it's just sitting still. Both of these people right here, now granted this is on a horse and she's on a chair, but these two are like seated on something, and that's where like it just said like we need to or you or whatever the situation is needs to come out of the chair. And just said chair pose. There was some like yoga in there, so like come out of chair pose and get into what, night pose, like get up and ride. Like there's definitely a difference though, right? Like you can't go anywhere if you're sitting on this throne. You can for sure go somewhere though if you're sitting on a horse. Even if you're blindfolded and tied up, the horse will still take you someplace. So there's it's more about, it just said a change of scenery, like change of scenery. And this one is very interior and this one is exterior, right? And that's where the feminine energy over here in this card is really nice, because it is outside and it is a lot more free, and this one's very bottled up. We have both a masculine and feminine card, more bottled up, and we have a masculine and feminine card that's very free. So there's definitely some implications of changing the scenery from being very bottled up and closed in, being in that boiler room, being stuck in this chair, to stepping out into the garden and open the fresh air and like being outside on this horse. And there's an essence of freedom here in that regard. Both energies, the masculine doing action energy and the internal feeling, thinking, nurturing energy, both needing to be a little free. What else? So going through the, like I was saying, this reading can be a little timeless, because eclipse energies usually last, usually last for about 6 months. And so that's where I would say this is like for sure a I just said a balancing act, like a balancing act. And that's part of the quest, is this balancing act. And we just got this really beautiful star card, and it just said the line from Peter Pan about like first, was it second star to the right and straight on till morning. So there's a bit of that Neverland, very positive childlike energy. Like, it's like talking about like believing like you can fly, the whole idea of like, and you just think happy thoughts and they lift you into the air, being sprinkled with pixie dust. This whole star card is very much about like having faith to follow the star. And what that's really about too is like maintaining a high vibration so that you stay in the good vibes, so that you can find that and follow it. It's also about like, you see how much the darkness of this card matches up with this Demeter and like the sky here in the Psyche card. That's what I mean. It's very much like the whole following the star in the darkness. It just mentioned too like how sailors would follow the North Star. It's like, could you imagine living back in the times before GPS and sonar and all of these things that help you at sea? Like, it's literally just you and the boat and the sea and the sky. Like, the star was like, especially the North Star, was like your lifeline. If you could find the North Star, then you could figure out where you were and work at least to keep yourself navigating in a good direction. It was when you couldn't see the stars that you were in peril. So this is very much about that, like maintaining your focus on and following the stars in the regard of knowing that whatever's coming through this eclipse energy, which very much seems to be about this, like I was saying, balancing act, and this kind of separation and distance due to both energies going through, I like how it just wanted me to do that, going through an evolution. Kind of like a heart right there too, but like this like little swirl thing. It's like both energies had to, yes, I love that spirit. It's like both energies had to go out so that they could circle back around and come back and meet in the middle again, right? And look at the difference in these two women right here. Like, she's seated, but she's up in the sky. She's on this beautiful, like, they said it's an astrolabe, so it's very much about, like, measuring astrology versus this seated figure right here, which is, like, chilling in this chair, very shut in. Even her dress is more magnificent in the star card. It literally, like, reaches down to the very bottom of the card, whereas this one, you can see the end of it, so it's, like, the, that beautiful train, the beautiful skirt, it's like it just flows and it never ends. That's really nice. I want to get just a few clarifiers. Oh, look at that one wanting to stick right out. It wants that one right there. So that's the 2 cups. There it is. And again, there's this kind of like balance energy. That 2 cups is all about finding that true center of love, and also hang on, it's telling me that's okay, that's the journey, right? That's the journey. I just wanted to lay that down here. That's part of the journey, and that's part of the quest that both energies are on. And that's what I was saying about that heart-shaped energy or what have you. Like, there's but you have to recognize that, man, the lesson of love is like a huge spiritual lesson, right? In regards to the fact that once you kind of go through a certain level of awakening, you literally recognize how it flows in absolutely every single thing in the universe. Like every blade of grass, every little bug, every little, like, woo, man, like it gets intense, especially if you're an empath and you have like your empathic abilities open up, your heart chakra open up, like, whew, buddy, like those lessons of the heart chakra energy, which I'm telling you, I'm feeling that right now. I'm getting that idea is like those lessons of the heart chakra. Those are very, very, very deep, very, very, very beautiful lessons, and so worth the journey so worth the journey into the underworld and everything to really discover that. And that's what I mean, maturing from this egg into this bird. Stop being a 9 of Wands and being a Knight of Wands, right? Like there's really great energy here. There's a lot of good energy, and it's all about this. This is the journey. It's about love. That's the journey. So this could be just, I'm going to lay this right here, universally about all kinds of stuff. Hang on. It's got me like moving my cards around. Let's do that. That's what it wants right now. Yeah. But there was very much this like, beautiful energy. Let's get just a couple more. What else? What else? What else needs to be said about this? Yeah, because well, we have the 9 of Wands and we have the 9 of Swords, and this was the 8 of Swords, so there's very much this progress here, and at the same time there's like this still this 9 and this 9, so there's very much a completion coming through at this point. There's a little bit of evolution and progress right there. But the Nine of Swords is very much about, it just said dreams. It can be about dreams, just thoughts and things and feelings keeping you up at night, obviously, and that's part of the block. And this also takes me back to the Psyche card in the sense of like, she wasn't supposed to look, and then she looked, and then the husband fled, and it's like, this is almost like her being left behind, like being so sad that, and feeling so responsible, like she's messed everything up. And the Spirit's telling me that she didn't mess everything up, that she actually did what she was supposed to do, because the whole entire time, what was actually meant to happen was her journey to the underworld to discover this and learn about this. And that's the thing, Aphrodite is the one that sends her there, so it's like the goddess of love herself sends her there. So this is very much a journey, it said appointed by the goddess of love, in the regards that like that's the journey, and that's always about self-love too. Like that's the primary thing, is like self-love. So there's very much this journey of self-love coming through here. So this energy is part of what's blocking this and everything, because there's a lot of that energy of like stuff being wrong, stuff like there's just an energy of like, I messed up, or I did the wrong thing, is that I knew something before I was supposed to, right? Or it's like touching your Christmas present. That's what that's what it means. It's like you touched your Christmas present before you were supposed to. And so now you feel like you'll never get the Christmas present. The Christmas present is this the whole time. And it's like she knew that, and that was the whole thing. It was like, Spirit. It just said, like being too smart for your own good. Like being too smart for your own good. Interesting. It's giving me this, I like it. It's frustrating, but I like it. It's giving me like when your teacher is trying to teach you something and you're like, I already know. And maybe you already do know, but does that make your teacher happy? Like, no, not at all. Nope. Why? Number one, because you're not giving them time to even explain anything, and you don't even know if what they're going to say is actually the lesson that you thought you were going to learn, right? Like, that's the whole thing. It's like, I already know the lesson you're going to teach me. Oh, really? Do you? Here, go on a journey into the underworld then. Have fun. Bye. Like, there's a little bit of this thing of like, it keeps saying insolence, but not insolence. This is a complex feeling that's coming through, complex message. It's like I said, it's like being too smart for your own good. But that's a little bit of a shadow quality, because there's not really such a thing. Like, you're so smart that you catch on to things so quickly that it's almost like you therefore punish yourself for catching on to things so quickly, because all of this energy could totally be just like within you alone. So that very much is coming through of like this punishing yourself type deal, because you're just too smart for your own good, and you figured out some stuff before it was time. And Spirit, it's not punishment, it's not anything like that. It's just that there's a certain process sometimes that you have to go through, and certain lessons along the way. And that's why some of these things have happened, because it's not that you're being punished from this. It's like, but you didn't learn these lessons, so you've got to go through these lessons, because otherwise then you can't like graduate, right? That's what I'm catching there. And because there's so much hang on, let me sit with this one. Well, okay, so this card's always about like you either turning down the cup that Spirit's offering you, or not being satisfied with what you already have, so therefore you can't even see the other things that Spirit's trying to offer you. You're not looking at what Spirit's offering you in general, right? Like, you're not satisfied with what you got, and therefore you aren't picking your eyes up to look at what Spirit's offering you. So there's a bit of that energy too, of this sense of like, sorry, these messages today are a little complex. Which, interesting, I mean, like, look at this eclipse season we just went through, right? Like, that was pretty complex. There was a lot of energy coming through, and that's where it feels like for you, Pisces, like there's a lot of different energy coming through, but it all leads back to this. But there's like this double peel thing. So that's where it's like, okay. So then coming back to the star, like this is all part of the path that you're just supposed to follow. But there are times where you're not, this person's eyes are down. You gotta look up at the star. You gotta look up at the star. You can't hang out in the lower vibe energies. Very much like this right here, right? Like, you can't stay in this space, and you can't stay in this energy either, because then you're not following the quest. Again, you're back to this sitting, right? That's where the sitting is. And that's what, this is the only sitting card that's kind of nice, but she's like a beacon in the sky, so she doesn't have to move. She's the star. You follow her. She stays where she's at. These other people that are sitting are the ones that really need to stop sitting. Look up, right? Look up. Stop looking. Stop being blindfolded. And this one's got a bandage on the head. There's like so much of this headspace in the eyes, not being in the right directions and looking at the right level. And they need to look up to find the star. They need to look up to find this, which is where the star card was originally, right? We were chilling up here, so that's what I mean. This is the star right there. It's supposed to look up. Both of these figures are looking down. Interesting. They're looking down at this night, in essence, right? And that's where it's like, they're looking at the quest. They're looking at only the 3D of what they have to do. They're just looking at the journey and the separation and the quest and the things of these two energies being separate, but what they're not looking is up, which is right here on the Two of Cups. At love. And positive vibes, because this is also an attraction card in that sense of like to come together and create more, right? So that's what I mean. It's like, gotta look up. Up, up, up. Let's get one more card on just on the dead center from the Steampunk deck. Last words from Spirit. That's 3. I guess we'll take 3. We got strength. We got this 4 cups and 7 of wands. So there's another 4 cups. That's what I mean. It's like not, it wants me to flip these a little bit. This 7 of wands coming out right here, kind of the way it's sitting on the love card, and the love card, the 2 of cups and the Knight of wands. There's very much that energy of like fighting for this energy of love. That's the quest. That's what the quest is, to fight for this energy here. But there's a lot of this sitting around and brooding and sulking. And meanwhile, there's also this beauty in like taking the time to stop and do other things, like build your strength. This is inner strength and spiritual strength and helping a wounded animal, and there's a lot of lessons in that too. So then that's where this is more that masculine energy, and this is the feminine energy over here. It's like feminine energy very much feels like there's some healing going on, learning how to be a healer, learning how to be strong, learning how to be a little bit of a lion tamer in a way. And the masculine energy just kind of sitting and sulking a little bit, but it's also very pensive and thoughtful, being very interior. I just said there's no one to share these cups with. That's what it was just saying. Like, there's no one to share these cups with. And there's this memento mori back here too, which is just a reminder that, you know, time is short and there's no one to share these cups with. And that's what's really missing out of this. It's like Spirit was trying to hand a cup and they weren't paying attention at the right time or something. This energy wasn't paying attention at the right time. And now it's like, well, now there's nothing to share these cups with. I have this whole library. I have all this space. It looks nice and warm and cozy. I've got all this cool stuff, but there's no one, nothing to share it with. And this is like, all right, I'm out on my journey. Right? Like Psyche's like, I'm out on my journey. And this is like one of her trials, right? It's like, let me stop and help this lion. It's kind of scary. But I can do this, and it's developing character, and this is one of my trials and tribulations along the way in the underworld, so I'm going to stop and help this lion and do my thing. And even though these energies are once again like backs turned, separate, there's very much, they know what they're both energies are fighting for is this, this mountain just makes me think of this Selenite tower right here. That's what I mean. It's like, and the tower of love, it's a good tower, right? It's like a tower of light. Ooh, it just made me think of the tower in the Never-Ending Story that the childlike empress lives in, like that shining, beautiful tower. That's what I mean. And she is that pure essence of love. And she actually receives the name of Sebastian's mother, because that's what he names her, right? She asks him to say her name. And when he does say her name, he says the name of his mother. So that's the thing is, there's also that cycle. Look, there's that mother and there's the young one too. It's like this cycling of recognizing. That's what I was saying about the lessons of love, is that there's this beautiful lesson within the lesson of love, that love is absolutely everything, and it's so fluid and cyclical that people that are actually like children in spirit could have been your mother from another life type deal. This very, very, very fluid energy of recognizing the oneness in everything. And that's part of this quest, because as much as that there's like these two energies wanting to be together, they're going through these cycles. Why? Because when they come back through this, it's take off, shoot through, scaling that mountain, completing the quest, scaling the mountain, and reaching the heights of the lessons of pure spiritual love. Whew, man, that was powerful. Let me know how you feel about that. So that's what you're working on after this eclipse, and I would say that is a bomb diggity lesson myself. So that being said, I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks.